Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about solving systems of equations using elimination. Here are the two problems that we'll do. And to make sure we don't take ourselves too seriously, let's think about the fun question. If you could pick one superpower to have, which would it be? So on the math section, it's likely that you would see a system of some sort that would technically be Algebra I, but a lot of times you'll see them in Algebra II as well. It could be solving a system or so either of equations or inequalities. And graphs could be referenced on here. You would never have to graph a system. There are three methods of solving one of these systems, and elimination, graphing, and substitution are those three methods. I have another video on elimination or on substitution in addition to this elimination video. I decided not to do graphing because I doubt you would sit there and graph to solve a system on the test. So let's just focus on elimination and substitution. So when you are given a system is multiple variables that you're solving for, but you have multiple equations. So in this case, we have two unknowns and two equations. If I told you to solve this top one, it would be impossible. You cannot solve for x or y with just with the two unknowns and one equation. But two equations and two unknowns is it's fine. You can actually get an answer for x and y, and that is which x and y pair one will work for this system, meaning both, that the x and y pair would fit into both equations. So that's the needle in the haystack that we're trying to find. And some students think it's impossible just looking at that. But with these tools, such as elimination here, that can help you solve for both the x and the y. So when I'm looking at this problem, I'm thinking, okay, I need to eliminate one of the variables, x or y, so that I could just focus on solving for one of them at a time. So what I'm thinking is, I could either get my x's to match in this for both equations, or I could get my y's to match. Just because, let's pick y's. And I can actually multiply the whole equation by a number in order to get the coefficients in front of the y's to match. So let's do that. Let's do -9. Why not +9? +9 would be totally fine because you can add or subtract equations. I don't like subtracting though if I don't have to. I would rather get the coefficients to be opposites of each other, such as this, not -9x minus 9y equals +27. And then we just bring down the second one. Because what happens here is I like adding straight down if I can help it, because my brain will naturally add as opposed to subtract. I don't like having to tell myself subtract. Adding is a lot more natural. So let's try to keep it as easy as possible. I like to have my coefficients match. And I could have done this problem getting the coefficients of the x's to match. So I'm adding straight down, and I'm going to get -7x equals, and then this would be 63. I divide by -7, and I'm going to get -9 for my x. Okay, so there's one piece of the puzzle. We've got -9 comma something else. So I'm solving for x first, and then I now know x, so I can plug that into either equation, whichever one's easier, to then solve for y. So this first equation is a little easier. So instead of x, I'm going to write -9 plus y equals -3. I'm going to solve for y by adding 9, and I get y equals 6. So that means that if I checked things out here, I could plug a -9 and a 6 in, and these would make sense. In the first one, I can already tell because this one's easy. -9 plus 6, yes, is -3. And then here, I would check is, okay, this would be -18 plus 54. That is, in fact, 36. So I know I got it right. There is no way that I could have gotten it wrong, because when you plug them both in, you can check your answer. So just to confirm, this is the solve for x, and then it was eliminate y so that I could solve for x. But then this is using the x to find y. Yeah. So that was the method. And you can decide, I could have decided to use the solve for y in the beginning, and it should all get to that same answer, just a slightly different process. Now, in this second one, there is something going on here, and it's a little bit funny because, let me put this over here. Because when you start thinking about which variable am I going to eliminate, something special is going to happen. Okay. And these special cases are fair game on these standardized tests. So I'm going to multiply the top by something to match something on the bottom. So let's multiply this top by 2. I'll make it a -2 so that I can get the 18s to be opposites of each other. -18x plus 14y equals -18. And then 18x minus 14y equals 18. Oh my goodness. So what's happening right now is I'm about to eliminate something. I was going to try for the x's, right? Those slash. But then look what happens. We get 0 equals 0. So for special cases, let's write this down here. Special cases. If it's a true statement versus a false statement, this is a true statement. 0 does equal 0. True. That conclusion then will be all real numbers, or it's infinitely many solutions. We'll say infinitely many solutions. And then if it's a false statement, let's say we would have gotten like a 4 equals 5. Not true. That is no solution. So just something to keep in mind, we may not always have an XY pair for all of these problems. So there are some practice problems, and they are very close to the ones I just gave you for examples. Try these. They could have regular solutions, just an X and Y pair, or it could be a special case. So why don't you pause the video and I will reveal the answers. Okay, answers are -8, 4, and then that second one was no solution. So that tells us that there was a false statement after we kind of manipulated it and we realized, oh, there's no way you could get an answer. Okay, quote. The brain is like a muscle. When it is in use, we feel very good, and understanding is joyous. That is true. When our brains are learning, that's their natural state, and so it feels good to our brains. So that's something that's kind of happy to think about. So I hope this video helped you in some way, and if you'd like to leave the answer to the fun question in the comments, that would be great. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with new videos. Thank you.